Welcome to Business Made Simple. I'm your host, James Kim, and
Hi, my name is Gabby Cunyada.
and you're here with Miss Jane Walker, the founder of UPSkillsFoundation and the Purple Community Foundation. So, can you explain to us, give us a little bit more background on what UPSkills is and Purple Community Fund and what they do?
Yep, sure. Purple Community Fund is a UK-based charity. It is predominantly a fundraising arm for our work that is here in the Philippines. But we also do some work in the UK with refugees and asylum seekers, so it has small projects of its own. And UPSkills Plus Foundation is really the implementing charity here in the Philippines, so we're running projects in about 6 or 7 different sites here.
And UPSkills and Purple Community Fund, are they basically doing the same thing? Are they slightly different?
No, Purple Community Fund is really a fundraising arm, so it allows us here in UPSkills to really focus on the projects and the beneficiaries that we're working with, and not to be so tied up in raising funds. Although we do raise funds here and we continuously need to raise funds, it's really good having another organisation behind us doing that as well. And in the UK, we're working with asylum seekers and refugees on similar kind of projects.
Is it also UPSkills and the refugees and asylum
No,
seekers?
that's all under the Purple Community Fund.
Purple Community Fund.
It's the UK charity.
Okay, okay.
Wow. So I'm sure a lot of our listeners would be interested on your journey from UK
All the way
I'm sure you
here.
had a different life in UK and journey towards the Philippines. How did it happen? How did it come about?
I was working for News International in the UK for a big chain of newspapers.
Wow. Okay.
And I was offered a promotion at 33, so it was a big deal. And I wasn't sure if I wanted to spend like the rest of my career in the newspaper industry. So I asked if I could just have some time off work, and I decided to come to the Philippines because
When was this?
96.
96.
Okay.
And it was I knew you have like the most amazing beaches, the incredible hiking, and it was a kind of bonus that you were predominantly English speaking as well, because I'm not great with languages, so that was like, oh super, this seems like the best place to come. And of course the first thing I did when I got here was read a newspaper. That was still in me.
Yes.
And I read stories of families who were being evicted from their homes.
Okay.
And I was really curious as to what that really looked like. So I jumped in a taxi and I asked the taxi driver to take me to the worst spotted area we knew.
Oh wow.
And maybe a bit naive at the time. And so he said, it's okay. He said, just stay in the taxi, I'll take you to North Harbour. So he brought me up to the North Harbour area, and in those days Road 10 was full of shanty
This
housing.
area.
Yes.
Just really full of shanty housing. And I saw for the first time like children running in between the big container trucks selling bananas and things. It's like, oh wow, this is so different to anything that I've seen in England. And I got out of the taxi for a closer look. I carried on walking up Road 10, and then I spotted 2 boys. They were very small. One had a big metal hook in his hand, and the other was dragging a sack. And I couldn't see any parents, nobody was really
Watching them. Yes.
So that was
How old were the
strange.
boys?
They only, well, of course, children can be so malnourished. They look a lot younger than their years, but to me, they only looked about 4 and 5 years of age. So they were quite small. So that's what really drew my attention to them. And I just started to follow them, curious really, like what were these 2 boys doing with a dangerous apparatus and, a great big sack.
In the middle of the street.
In the middle of the street, yeah. And I followed them up to the dirt track, which is just past here, Pier 18. It became Pier 18 dump site. It was after Smoky Mountain dump site was closed.
Okay.
And so the new dump site across the road was opened.
Okay.
I followed these 2 children up the dirt track, and then I just saw this enormous open landfill site that was the dumping
A mountain of
area. Well, not a
Trash.
mountain at that point, because I think really after Smoky Mountain, it was never going to be allowed to get like
Yes,
that
yes.
again. But it was, 20 odd hectares in space, so it was a big area. Shanty housing all in the background, and hundreds of children, really young, working as waste pickers. I mean, more commonly known in the Philippines as scavengers, but I hate that word. So, very shocking to see that.
Weren't you, I assume you were well dressed, you were from a different country, and now you're in obviously the not so fortunate part of town. Weren't you a little bit scared for your
No.
safety?
No, it really wasn't at that point, because everybody was so friendly on the road. I guess they didn't see that many foreigners in this part of town back in those days.
I can imagine why.
And so there was lots of hey Joe and all that kind of
Yes.
stuff. So I was just very, very curious. I wasn't really thinking of safety, but I did have a bit of an epiphany moment on the dump site, because when I was 15, my parents decided it was a good time for me to leave home. So I ineffectively became homeless at quite a young age. I wasn't able to finish my secondary education.
Oh.
So I guess I had a more challenging upbringing than most people.
Mhm.
So maybe that's also a reason why
You feel kinship with them.
I felt a kinship straight away.
Mhm.
And I didn't feel the fear, because I'd come through a fairly challenging beginning in myself, although compared to how the families were living in terms of materialistic stuff, I did not, and I had a house that I lived in, and we always had food. So when I saw these children and I realized they had to work for their food, then I realized, they really have had a much rougher life than I ever did. And that is really empowering as an individual, when
Right.
you meet somebody that's in a more difficult situation than you've been in yourself.
Right.
It makes you feel like maybe there's something I can do. And that was the overriding emotion, really, was what kind of person am I going to be if I walk away from all of this? Maybe just give the children that I've met a few pesos and say, I hope everything works out for you.
Everything's turned out well,
A lot
yes.
of people do that.
A lot of people do that. Yeah.
But my conscience was so acute. It was just really, it was really difficult to just walk away. So I decided then, do what I can. I didn't know at the time what it was, but I did know that having happy memories in your childhood was really important.
Yes.
So I met a local pastor, and I asked him if he would help me build a daycare centre, and some of the children could just have somewhere sweet to go and play.
That's where they stay during the day, instead of in the
just
street.
a few hours where they could play with toys, they could find some joy in their day. And that's how it started. So it started just with that desire to create happy memories, and it evolved considerably.
And looking back, so it started with a daycare, and then now, fast forward.
I think now she has, if I may speak for you. I think right now, from what I know, you try and give jobs to these nanais, these people living here. You're trying to give them, instead of just giving them a handout, you want to give them a job where they can make these items. I think these items are made from discard from waste.
Yeah.
This is made from the bottom.
The ring pull tops from canned drinks.
Right.
And then just surplus pieces of wool that people don't need anymore. They can't make it into anything.
And this one is made from, what is this?
This is our latest project, so we're really happy. We started making sandals for the tatais, for the fathers, from an airplane tire.
Right.
Because it's nice and flat. And when I was working with groups in Tanzania, we were making shoes from truck tires, but the shoes really bevel. So this is a lovely
'Cause it's
way
flat.
of
Quality strong.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very strong.
It's an
and-
airplane tire.
Yeah, exactly. And they put an arch here, so it's really comfortable.
Okay.
And
So
then
there's a science with this art.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's comfortable.
Yeah, because you also find you've got a very solid shoe, which is great here.
Yes.
You know, because the roads and the streets are very uneven, so you really don't feel the knocks. But that arch just keeps your foot in a safe place, in the same place. And all of this is the inner tube from the truck tire, which is really good for here because we're right in the middle of an area where recycling is.
So sourcing is not a problem.
Sourcing's not a problem, although we do buy these materials. So
Okay.
we're always looking for companies that, especially airlines, that these tires are already used, so they don't really need them. So we're buying them at the moment, but we need a lot of tires to make a lot of shoes. So this became then our first school
Right.
shoe. So we perfected this literally a few months ago.
Oh, wow.
The kids have been road testing them, and they've given us like really good feedback.
I bet.
We're just starting to go into production now. So we have 108 children in our education program currently. So they'll all be getting a pair of shoes first. We've got 600 children or just under 600 children that are in either high school, secondary high, elementary, but also for our college students. And these are particularly good because they're stitched, not glued. So they're a waterproof,
Wow.
durable shoe. I think these shoes are going to last
That's
a long time and probably get handed down, whereas some of the shoes that we buy, and I won't name the country or the
Or the
markets
brand.
where we
Yeah.
get them from, they do fall apart after 2 months in the floodwater. So we've been splashing about in these. They do very well, and I even have a pair of little court shoes like this, which I wear now to my meetings because I find them
nice.
more comfortable
And-
than my leather ones.
So if people wanted to buy these, where would they go?
Right now we're not these haven't even come onto our website.
Okay.
So we're probably about maybe 6 to 8 months before we can go into sales for them.
So watch out for it.
Yeah, so watch out. Coming soon, but
Coming
not
soon.
quite.
But everything else is on the website right
Yeah,
now.
we've got a lot of things on the website. The bags, and we also make dresses for music festivals. So.
Oh,
you
is
can
this one?
Yeah, you
I
can.
see an artist wearing that
Yeah. Oh,
for concerts.
we have made some for people have bought them from us and used them in music.
Are you guys getting
concerts.
this?
But you can wear a nice slip under those dresses with high heels. They
Yeah,
look
yeah.
very classy.
And then-
Or you can wear pants
Yes,
and
yes.
bra, and
Yeah.
then they look very sexy and funky.
And then
so.
go to the festival with this bag. I don't know, a
Yeah.
little bit.
But actually,
That's a unique look.
It's really interesting that you've picked these bags because they're not finished yet. So
Just the exterior is very nice.
yeah, that's good.
Or this bag.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, the little clutch
I
one.
see women wearing that and this in festivals and
Yes,
events. Yeah, very nice.
Yeah. And the little baseball hats
Yes.
behind. And
And
Oh, can you bring the
accessories.
baseball bat here?
yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
And we have people all over the world collecting these ring pulls. So we feel like we started a movement because in the UK there's about 10,000 people that collect the ring pulls. And we've met people that are partially sighted and not able to work, but they take this on as their thing, and suddenly they have a purpose in life that's,
Yes, yes.
that they didn't have before. And it's the stories behind the ring pulls are really touching. People here collect the ring pulls, they come over, and then we have senior citizens that separate all the ring pulls into shapes and colours. And that gives them work as well as giving work to the nannies.
You know, it's just an interesting thing. Just as an aside, I really appreciate the way Miss Jane is trying to help out because by giving them jobs, by giving them a source of income. Because, like you said, Gabby, if you just gave them some money, how long does it last? And then it's not sustainable. I appreciate the fact that she's trying to give them a sustainable economic model where they can become financially independent.
Well, our livelihood manager has put in a system where the nannies can save around about 50 pesos every week from what they earn. It goes into a savings plan which they manage, it's their money. They elect presidents, treasurers, and they save this money till it becomes a large amount. Then they'll go through business skills and entrepreneurial training, and then the women set up subsidiary businesses. So they are now selling plastic items, and then they're doing like a loaning system. So they're earning a little bit of money on the interest, but they're not charging anywhere near what the loan sharks charge.
I bet.
So that's working really well. Some of them are selling rice, and it's working well. They just have a whole range of little supplementary businesses.
Right.
So their skills are always increasing, and it's been really great for them to see the value of saving and how when you work collectively and collaboratively together, you can actually really achieve great business models. So that's being replicated in all of our projects, and it also means that they're not dependent on the NGO, because heaven forbid, but should anything happen to us, then or we lose some of the markets for these products, their worlds are not going to suddenly collapse. They already have their businesses, and they're working to pay their debts off, and they're aspiring to have their own houses, and they call themselves out of poverty. We don't. All we do is create opportunity, and
which is still a lot.
But they do the work.
Right.
They do the work, and we're in awe actually of the community that we work with. Because they live in the most challenging conditions, and they have a lot of fear now, of course, with the volcano.
Right. Speaking of the volcano,
Yeah.
I just want to point out Miss Jane's other product. I think this is they're making these masks for the ashfall.
Yeah.
So, do you sell these also?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Because we're looking to make about 20,000, so we've got a long way to go yet. When the volcano started to erupt on the 12th, because lucky I live here as well in Tondo, so when I knew that a potential ash cloud was heading our way, I
Mobilized everyone.
got together some blankets and sheets and went over to the community to see if I could help them just cover up their windows and doors. But sad to say that the houses are really peppered with holes. They're making from second-hand pieces of wood, and it's just impossible to do it. And it really, we then opened our centres ready for people to evacuate here. But it made me think later on, how could they be protected if this volcano comes again?
Yes.
Yeah.
And one of our donors just sent us a little pattern of a mask you can make, and then it got us thinking, if we could make that as good as the MP5 mask, then it could really be a great solution for the community.
Right.
Yeah, so that's what we did, and very fortunate for us, we had a dressmaker over from the UK who's a really super skilled lady, and she designed the pattern. We had doctors and nurses that were around us that particular week, so they cleared it, and then we've just gone into full-scale production, and we can produce these for as little as 15 pesos. So we're also thinking that after we've, and it's all from recycled
material.
textiles. Yeah, that's it. So, cotton T-shirts, bits of bedding.
Right.
And it's a great way to stop materials going into landfill. As you know, we have enormous amounts of clothing here that we don't need. So this could become, I think, a business later on, because these can be sold and they can be bought for a fraction of the price.
I would use this. I mean, if I go to the office, and then I can use this.
Yeah.
It's wearable.
It's not just for ashfall.
Yes.
We're in probably one of the most densely polluted areas in the city.
Right.
So, the community are really happy because we've asked a few of them, what they think.
I see motorcycle riders wear masks all the time.
Yeah, exactly. And they're happy because they're saying, well, even if Tattle doesn't erupt, we have a mask now to also protect us. The waste pickers, of course, are dealing with
or the
heavy
smell.
smells.
Yeah.
They can move that. So, yeah.
Hearing your story, how you have impacted the community. You actually lift the community up and then make them self-reliant. It's really an inspiring story. And in the past, I've been wanting to volunteer and ask And I'm sure there are a lot of people who not necessarily help monetary wise, but how can people help Purple Community Fund or
Upskills
Upskills Foundation? Yeah.
Right now for Upskills, because we're based here in the Philippines, we could really do with some more clothing items. It doesn't have to be in perfect condition.
Because you can recycle it.
We're cutting it up because we're actually running out of materials. So we were considering going to yuka stores and maybe buying like kilos of material. So any clothes and bedding that we can repurpose for this project, I think will be really good. But in terms of volunteering, there are so many things people can do to help us.
They can contact you via your website?
Contact us via the website, and we can discuss it. We've got quite a few centres. We've got a big project over the other end where we've just built a gym. I'm wanting to launch martial arts.
Wow.
And we have a volunteer who used to be a world champion kickboxer 20 years ago, and he's still a young man. But we need people to help us with that. I'm a big yoga fan, and so we're planning on sending students over to Thailand to learn yoga, to come and teach. So we could do with yoga mats. So donations in kind, for us are as good as finance, because donations of rice, canned foods. We're always needing to give emergency food supplies. Sadly, the community do tend to be in a fairly constant state of crisis, one thing or another. Like if somebody gets sick and goes to the hospital, then the whole family can fall apart, because that might be the breadwinner and then there is literally no food. So families really go on a meal-to-meal basis, pretty much still.
Right.
And with that level of lack of food stability, any donations of food are really welcome. Yeah. Okay,
so just check out the website and give them a call or send them an email if you want to help out in any way, except in help in all forms.
Thank you.
But if you say that you're in all of the nanais, we are in all of you.
Aww.
I mean, seriously, you basically.
You make me blush.
I mean, you've been in UK. The quality of life is much different compared to your quality of life here. I feel like you're giving you've chosen to almost like you've chosen to make things harder for yourself to help out everyone here. It's something you didn't have to do, something you volunteered, you felt an empathy for, and then it actually makes me kind of feel so inadequate and ashamed. Like, I live in this country. It feels like I wish I could do more and be more like Miss Jane Walker. But why did you choose? Well, first, maybe the first question is, why did you, out of all the countries you've been to, I'm sure you've been to a lot. You're a reporter, and you've seen a lot of unfortunate places in this planet. Why did you choose the Philippines?
I think I definitely fell in love with Filipinos. So when I went to the dump site, I mean, that was my moment where I was already dissatisfied with Western life, because I just find that working to make yourself rich is a very shallow way of living. So I was already kind of looking for something
more meaningful.
So for me, I don't ever see that I've done a lot for them. I feel like everybody's done a lot for me, because also coming from a very dysfunctional family background, I found a family, so that's like really very powerful to, when you've had a very dysfunctional past, to suddenly come into a community that just will love you as their own. They take you as kinsmen, and so I think it kind of shifted from wanting to help to just loving being here and loving being in a position where we could, and I feel like it's more about friendship than it is about anything else, and we always say to people that you're with us, it's a membership for life. You know,
Right.
because that's what families are. So sometimes the kids, they kind of mess up a bit, you know, like they might drop out, you give an opportunity, they don't make the most
Right.
of it, they drop
Right.
out one time, two times. But, you know, we always find they come back.
Right.
Sometimes they leave, we don't know where they've gone, they've had a falling out with somebody, they might disappear. But we just wait because we know they'll come back. And when they do, we welcome them back with open arms, just like we would do if one of our children made a mistake and come back. And I hope that we cultivate that sense of family so that it doesn't ever feel like work. It never does, you know.
Find your passion.
You find your passion and you live in that passion, and I'm so lucky because I have the most incredible team around me, and they know me so well. They know when I get stressed, they just need to wave a biscuit in front of me. You want chocolate or anything? There's already, I'm a smiling person, you know. But I can't do any of this on my own. And if I didn't have people that really believed in what we did, and not just the team, the volunteers, but also the beneficiaries, because you know, they don't take, they give, you know, so
Right.
we have a lot of our own beneficiaries that are already giving back in the work. We have students that went through college with us and now they want to work with us to give back, and they go beyond and above what their normal contractual 40 hours are, you know. So I think it just, it has a nice feel about it. So it's a joy. It's a
Right,
joy to
right.
be here. Yeah.
But I still think a lot of it is, I think you set the tone. The fact that you live here, the fact that we'll show a video, I hope, intercut with this. But Miss Jane showed me that she walks the walk. She just doesn't talk the talk, and I think that's a big deal. And I'm sure.
I'm just gonna have to take these compliments, Alan.
Hearing your story, what I love about your story and what you've done to the community is that you give the community livelihood, the nanays, their kids,
Yes.
and then you send scholars to school. Now these kids are paying it forward. You actually transform their lives, not only monetary wise, but their being. Now they think about giving back to the community.
Yeah.
So
two
you're
boys.
it's a holistic kind of transformation.
Yeah. I think
nice.
when poverty is severe, you have to really look at providing integrated services. So, you know, we have community kitchens, we have big, you know, we're working with the community to improve eating habits, and we have a big health program where we have doctors and nurses, and so no matter what is happening within the family, we can direct them to one or the other of the programs that we do. And then so it has to be a holistic approach, and I think if it wasn't, I think families would quite quickly find that, you know, if you don't have the healthcare programs there, then you know, people are going to drop out and they are going to need to go back to work to earn money for medicines and things. So it's, you know, but we don't like to do a dole-out system because, you know, I don't like to be on the other end of somebody giving me
Right.
stuff all the time. It affects your self-esteem. It's
Yes,
not good. So,
yes.
you know,
Totally agree.
everything we do, we just try and do that with respect. And, you know, even when we have market days, people are given vouchers and they can come and choose like it's a shop.
Right.
You know, and they're the ones that stay behind, they clean after, they help. And we don't really ask anybody to do this anymore. It's just,
They belong here.
because the upskills belongs to them. It doesn't belong to me or the team. It's really their
The community.
charity. They shape it. They tell us what they need, and then we work together to design it. They monitor us. They evaluate us. It's really important. They have the ownership of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'd like to add also that a lot of people, their conception of a small business, of any business really, is like it's a money-making enterprise, which for the most part, it kind of has to be.
has to be.
It has to be. But a lot of it also is like, especially in Miss Jane's case, especially in this case, the small business is a way of changing the people's lives, giving them purpose, giving them a meaning, giving them a livelihood, giving them a way to change their lives for the better. So it doesn't have to be. It still kind of has to be profit driven. If it's not profitable,
There should be a balance.
there should be a balance. But it can be a balance.
Yes.
And it looks like you found a business that's that can make you happy in addition to.
Yeah. Well, if anybody wants to sell our products, they definitely need to get in touch with us because the more products we can sell, the more nanais that we can work with, and the more shoes that we can sell, the more tatais that we can give work to. So that's a massive way to help us. Yeah.
So what are your plans for the coming
Is there
years?
still a dream for you that hasn't been achieved, or are you still aiming for? Is there other objectives for upskills?
I do get lots of offers to go and work in different countries, but this is my home, so this is where I feel I need to stay. And I don't think none of us will feel like. I mean, we'd love to be out of a job and the whole community was able to be financially independent and didn't need us anymore. That would be wonderful, but that's what we're striving for. So yesterday we talked to the government in Naig, the National Housing Authority. We're signing for a portion of just over 4,000 square meters of land, so we can build a very, very big workshop out there. This community are gradually being relocated, some to Naig. So we go wherever they go. And so it's great that we got this opportunity to expand the work in Naig, because we can build the workshop, we can create more opportunities. And I think when the community have gone to a relocation area, the housing is better. Of course, they can grow vegetables, the whole environment changes.
Yes.
And it's easier to lift the community when they're not having to deal with living in an overcrowded environment where they don't have running water or they don't have sanitation. So it would be great to see everybody moved into a relocation area, and then we can really just focus on employment. So I think at that point we won't be needed,
No, I think we'll always. That's a nice dream. That's a nice dream. That's a nice dream. But what do you think? I was so struck about that. I noticed that a lot of people, the people who don't have jobs, a lot of them insist on staying around the Manila area, living on the streets, rather than, it seems, and this might be naive of me, near the provinces, there seems to be a lot of
people flock to Manila.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of Manila.
We have it in London as well.
Yeah.
Why do they flock in the city?
Well, I guess because there's a feeling that there's more work. But what we tend to find, the people that are here from the provinces, which is normally about 60%,
Right.
they are normally the poorest of the poor, even within their province. So they might not have had an education, and farming is limited, so there are still great periods of time when they don't have food. And sometimes living and working in trash is preferable to not having access to any food at all. And I think sometimes people can get a bit stuck here too. It's not having bus fares or ship fares to go back to their province once they've made money. So when we hear of people in that need, we do help them go back.
And when they go back, do they stay back there?
They usually do, because if they've come here and they've earned money, then they're able to maybe buy a little small holding, and then they can stay. But it takes a long time often for that to happen. And I think, I mean, another reason why we love working with this community in particular is because they didn't have a lot of opportunities. Most of the adults didn't graduate from school, even from elementary, and they were in the early grades. But they had choices of how they were going to earn their money, and some people could resort to crime. Some people can resort to begging. Some people can go into the sex industry. Yes. But for the families here, they really chose to work in trash because it's in my opinion, it's the most honourable thing that they were able to do when they don't have access to a job or education.
Right.
And it's no easy work. I mean, I find the community very hardworking. I've heard people describe them as lazy, but it's not what we've experienced. And it's not an easy job. I mean, I went to live on the dump site at weekends when I first came here, just to integrate. And that waste picking job, I mean, that's hard.
Draining.
Very, very hard. Your face is to the ground, you're discovering all sorts of stuff. And it's not easy. It's not easy to breathe in all of those toxins. So yeah, they're being able to give an opportunity where you can have a different job is really, not everybody will embrace it,
right.
but the vast majority of people embrace it, and that's that is really worthwhile. Yeah.
How helpful has the Philippine government been with your efforts?
I think initially they were very skeptical of who we were because we were quite under the radar. We just got on with our jobs, and I was lobbying the government for a long time to give us some land so we could build a big building.
Right.
So because we were in a building where it was flooding, we were losing teaching
I saw
days.
it. I saw that.
So they did eventually. I did a lot of lobbying. I was quite the pushy foreigner, but it did pay off in the end. And Noli de Castro agreed and said, "Okay, we're going to give you 1,500 square meters lands, but you have to build your school in 3 years, or we're taking it back." So lots of pressure, but we built it, and we built it out of recycled shipping container vans. It became the world's largest building ever made out of connected, upcycled container vans. So we were really pleased that we did that. It gave a place for the children to go to school. Now that building is being used for a different purpose, and the children most of them are now in the government schools, because as you know, government education compared to 20 years ago is vastly improved. And we just provide tutorial support now for those students that need help with their grades. But 96% of the students that go through these programs go on to college.
Wow.
So we're getting
96%.
96%.
Wow.
They're getting incredible results. However, we still can't take that credit for it. They see all the opportunity, seized it, and have made the most of it. And it's just our great privilege to sit back and watch them fly. It's like really fantastic. So the government's been good in that sense. And then I think when we wrote to them again and said, look, relocation site, we don't have a centre. We really want to build workshops so people don't migrate back to the city.
Right.
Can you help? They didn't even have a meeting with us. They just sent me an email to say, yeah, this is what land we're going to give you.
Oh.
Well, they don't give, but they're not allowed. The government aren't allowed to give NGOs land. But we can have a long agreement. It's rent free. It's lease free. It's it's use of the land. So that's been really helpful.
That's really I'm happy.
Yes, me too.
I'm happy. The Philippine government can be bureaucratic at times, but I'm happy this particular case they're pulling out all the stops to help out. Have you ever been, been scared or victim of a crime in the Philippines? I mean,
in the Philippines?
In the Philippines, because you seem to not be scared at all.
No.
Never?
No.
No one's ever gone to your house and stolen anything? No one's grabbed the...
No. I frequently lose my things because I'm a bit scatty, and I quite often come flying down the stairs and saying, oh, I think I left my phone somewhere, and it's never in my head that this has been stolen. It's just, where did I leave it? Which centre? Which program? And
I think it's just her.
Everything is always there. They're just and I think even when I first came, there was a lot of gang warfare. Because there was fires and different gangs came in. It's so much better now. But in those early days, we could sometimes on the way to school step over murdered bodies.
Oh my God.
Wow.
So that was even I know it's not something that you think about, but even when that happened, there wasn't a sense of fear, because there was this reassurance that we knew that if somebody had been murdered in the community in the gang warfare, we knew that there was always a reason for it. Now you walk through some of the streets in London, I feel scared because it's random.
Yeah.
So you feel more scared in the streets of London than here in Tondo?
I do, because I don't feel that you're being attacked for no reason.
Yes.
And in the early days, the community would follow me around. There'd be like 5 or 6 people behind me. And I used to be a bit offended because we're quite independent people.
Right.
And I was like, I don't need chaperoning.
Yes.
But anyway, I asked somebody, why is it I'm always being like followed?
Yeah.
And they just said, well, we just want to check that you're safe.
Wow.
And then one day I wasn't being followed anymore, and then I asked the same question, because then I felt, maybe they don't care about me anymore. And then they just said, no, everybody knows you, it's fine. So, and even myself.
And everyone loves you.
Well, I hope so. But you don't do it for that, do you? But my son used to play in the
Yes.
community when he was little. So when he walks through now as a 20-year-old man, I mean, it's just lovely because people have that. Oh, remember you when you were 5? Yeah, we used to play with you in the dirt. Yeah, and he used to love the dead rats. So that was like.
I'm sure they love that.
Oh, there was, yeah.
So
Poking them.
So when you're telling your family in the UK, oh yeah, I stepped over a dead body this morning, and my son played with one of a couple
I
dead
just
rats.
omitted that. I never.
You never brought it up.
I never brought that up.
Okay,
no.
so
Just
if your
leave that
family's
alone.
watching this now, then they can.
But it's fine now because none of those things happen anymore. We don't have those experiences over there so much. There are wars that go on, internal wars, but nothing like it used to be. I think the gangs have kind of either grown up. They're still there. We still have incidences. One of our students was caught with those champak guns, and the little roaming bullets. But as a rule, it's a lot calmer. Yeah. So
I have a few questions for you, Jane. Just to lighten up the
mood. Yeah, it's feeling a bit heavy.
So, what's your favorite Filipino food?
Well, it has to be Bicol Express.
Bicol Express?
Yeah.
Spicy.
You like
Oh,
spicy?
I really love
wow.
spicy food.
She's really Filipino.
So,
Yeah,
guys,
really,
what's the
really
best Bicol
Yeah.
Express? Maybe
But I'm a vegetarian, so I'm a
Oh.
tricky one.
Okay.
So I
Oh.
will for Bicol Express go with prawns.
Okay.
And I love adobo, but I take the meat out of it because I love the potato and the gravy. That's
Just
in
the sauce.
one of our nanas. Oh my gosh, she
wow.
makes the best adobo. So yeah, there are some really favorite foods, but most of the time I just love the fruits and
Fruits.
really.
Sheer variety of them.
Yeah, I just find that sometimes the diet is a little too sugary for my
salty and sugary.
salty and sugary because it's not really great
That's
for your
typical
health.
Filipino food.
Yeah, so I'm a little bit picky about that. As I'm getting older, of course, you notice the effects of salt and sugar when you're older. You don't notice it when you're 30.
What do you do to relax?
Yoga, really,
Yoga.
and meditation. I've been training in that for a couple of years now, and I find that really, really helpful.
What kind of meditation?
Just sometimes I do it with bongs and with chimes, and sometimes I just try to quieten my mind.
Empty your mind.
Yeah, but about a week ago, rescued a little abandoned kitten on the street, and I have to say that's feeling like meditation at the moment because she's only 3 months old, but she's so severely malnourished. She looks like she's 4 weeks old. So I'm finding that a really relaxing way because she's a very demanding little kitten.
Right.
So you can find anything to relax, kind of, if you need to, and I do need to.
Have you tried Zumba?
No, but my partner does a lot of exercise, so whenever he comes here, I have to do like half an hour of exercising with him. So, but I find the yoga's really good because it's static movement and you get your strength from that. Yeah.
Cool.
What is your favorite spot in the Philippines?
Oh, I have now. This is to my shame, right? Because I spend far too much time in one place and not travelled enough. So it's been my goal that I really must see more of the Philippines. But I did go to Coron.
Oh, wow.
And
You've been to Coron.
I mean,
Love
I
Coron.
was literally speechless when I saw the beauty of that place. We have a project in Baguio in a dump site up there, and again, just a gorgeous place. So
Right.
so I think, and then also Puerto Princesa we did as well. So I think I just have to travel a lot more. So Quezon, I went to Quezon province and I found that really nice in its natural way. I love hiking.
Oh, okay.
So, and of course went up Taal volcano
Taal
with
volcano.
all of our
Before
yeah. So I'm thinking we have to
Very before.
we have to find a new tourist spot now for all our volunteers that come overseas.
No, this Taal thing will calm down
But
after a while.
but it's shifting into the
But there's
sea,
no
isn't
more,
it?
the lake inside. The water is no longer there.
No, so and I read today that it's actually tilting.
Tilted, yeah.
It's
Oh, really?
tilting, yeah. So I'm not sure it can ever
We'll
be.
see. We'll see.
Yeah. We'll find a new tourist spot.
We'll see.
Yeah.
It's all a place you can hike.
I
We'll
love
see.
hiking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, do you have any other questions? No, I think that's all our questions.
It's been fun.
Thank you for
Thank you very much.
thank you
Thank
for
you.
letting us
Story.
interview. Yeah,
Wow.
and thank you for doing everything that you're doing in the Philippines. It's an amazing thing. You know, I've heard of a few people like that. They're very few. These they find they do these acts that of supreme, I would call it.
Oh.
Supreme sacrifice.
Not sacrifice, because it's kind of I noticed there's another guy named Justin Wren. I read about him, and I'm not comparing you to his story, totally different story, okay, but he was a successful wrestler back in college. I know he was a fighter, and he's a successful fighter now in the UFC. But he was suicidal, took a lot of drugs, and he was very unhappy in his life. Then one day he went for him it was I think it was New Guinea, and then he found the pygmies there, and he just lived among them, and then he helped them build wells.
Wow.
And he said he found peace.
You do find peace.
He found peace there. There's something to helping other people that makes you feel like when you help someone out, we naturally feel happy, and then it seems like there's so it's both. It's like a win-win condition. But
Yeah.
you're still doing a lot. He's doing a lot to help his people in the pygmies. You're helping a lot of people here in the Philippines, and they're also finding a lot of I guess mutual joy and happiness.
Because we're born to love.
But we still appreciate you.
Thank
you
you.
for coming here and doing this. You
You're
didn't have
welcome.
to. You could have chosen another country. You could
I'm
have
glad I
chosen.
didn't. I'm glad
Yeah.
I didn't.
But-
I know my team as well because they are exactly the same as me. Just
Right.
crazy in love with helping and serving. So
And also another thing she said, like if you give someone, they were talking about this also. They in the U.S. they have a system for giving out money, but a lot of people when you interview them about that, they feel like a general discontent with their lives. It's when they have a job, when they have something meaningful, a reason to wake
find
up in the
value.
morning. You find value in themselves. In fact, this is also anecdotal, but a lot of people that I know who have retired and retire as in they don't do anything anymore. I noticed they quickly regress physically
yeah,
and
it's
mentally.
Yeah.
In fact, a lot of people, I think, it's the best thing they can do if they retire is to volunteer, to help out, and it'll keep them
Giving out to the
young.
community.
It'll keep them young, give them satisfaction. So I'm doing this, and what I'm saying is, if you want to do something with your lives, want to help out, it will help you as well. Go to UPSkillsFoundation.org.
org.
Maybe we can flash.
Well,
their
it'll be on the bottom of the
Facebook,
video.
Their contact details. So
Yeah.
I'm sure there are a lot. Like me, as I said earlier with Jane, I used to look for ways to help out the community, and so please do help. If you want to help Upskills Foundation, they help out a lot of communities, and if you want to be part of it,
Yes. You can
Yes, you
volunteer your time, your money,
Yes.
or your
yes,
garbage.
garbage.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, not garbage, but you know,
But
like,
we love you guys. So it's
but
fine.
like things that you pre-loved items. How about
Yes.
that? Pre-loved.
Pre-loved items,
Yes.
So
Okay.
this has been Gabby Cunyaga.
And James Kim, and with Miss Jane Walker.